Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're diving into a really powerful idea, a metaphor that might just change how you see everything. What if your life is a movie? A movie that's already been written and you're just playing the lead role.
So, let's kick things off with a little thought experiment. Just imagine, right now, someone hands you a thick book. And this isn't just any book, it's the complete scene-by-scene script of your entire life. Every single triumph, every heartbreak, every conversation you'll ever have, it's all in there. The big question is, do you open it? Do you read it?
Now, according to the sources we're digging into for this explainer, having that script would be more than just a spoiler. It would actually corner you into making an impossible choice, a massive trade-off between the very best and the very worst parts of being human.
Okay, so on one hand, you'd get this incredible sense of liberation. All your suffering, poof, gone. Because you'd know every tragedy, every setback is just a plot point. It's just a scene in the movie. You wouldn't take anything personally. But, and this is a huge but, the cost of that peace would be immense. The joy of a surprise party, gone. The thrill, the excitement, the uncertainty of falling in love, all gone. You'd basically risk becoming a numb spectator in your own life. All the magic would just vanish.
You know, there's actually a word for this state of profound peace. Equanimity. It's a huge idea in a lot of Eastern philosophies. And the goal isn't to be numb, but to stop being a victim of the plot, to become a calm witness, someone you can watch the drama of their own life unfold without getting totally swept away by it. So, is there a middle ground? A way to have that peace without giving up the passion? Well, the source material offers this fascinating idea. Become a great actor. I mean, think about it. The best actors on the planet, they know exactly how the movie ends. They've read the script 100 times. But when the director yells action, their laughter is real. Their tears are absolutely real. They commit 100% to the moment. So maybe that's the secret. To know it's all a script, but to play your part with everything you've got.
Okay, so this whole life is a movie thing immediately brings up a massive question, right? If it's a movie, who the heck wrote the script? And the answer is pretty surprising. It takes us out of philosophy and plops us right down into the real world.
You might think the writer is God or fate or some cosmic force, but the sources for this explainer argue no, it's nothing like that. The authors of your script are actually much, much closer to home. Turns out, your script was basically co-written by the environment you were born into, the society you grew up in, your parents, and your friends. It's a concept that's sometimes called environmental determinism, and the core idea is pretty powerful. The origin environment you start in largely dictates the kind of story you're going to live. Let's look at a really clear example of what the source calls a focused script. Think about legendary artists like Tupac, Eminem, or Dr. Dre. They grew up completely immersed in hip-hop culture. For them, music wasn't a hobby, it was the air they breathed. Their environment was so singular, so intense, that it created a focused path that pushed them toward greatness in that specific field, with very few other options or distractions.
Now, let's contrast that with what the source calls a diluted script, which is probably way more relatable for a lot of us. This is where the cultural messages are all mixed up. You hear things like, be creative, follow your passion, but in the next breath, it's, but you should probably get a safe, stable job. And the result is often confusion, leading people down these survival paths into careers they don't love, never quite feeling like they're the star of their own movie. So this is where the plot really thickens. What happens when the script that society wrote for you starts to clash with the one your heart, your soul, is trying to write? Well, that's the climax of the movie. That's where the real struggle begins.
This is that classic dramatic moment, right? Your internal feeling, that fire you have for art or music or starting a business, comes right up against the external script from your parents or society that's telling you, no, that's risky, that's not practical. You should be a doctor, an engineer. That friction, that conflict, that's where life gets really interesting.
So how do you handle that struggle without breaking? The source offers this really profound solution, drawing from Indian philosophy. You become the drasta, the witness, the seer. This means you learn to shift your sense of self. You stop identifying as the character who's suffering in the story, and you start identifying as the consciousness that is simply watching the story.
And to really get this, we've got to separate the me from the I. Me is the character. It's the person with your name, your job, your anxieties. Me is the part that gets its heart broken. But I, that's the witness. I is the screen that the entire movie is projected onto. The screen doesn't get hurt when there's a sad scene, right? By identifying with the I, a tragedy in your life becomes a dramatic scene to be appreciated for its artistry, not a personal crisis that destroys you.
Okay, but this brings us right back to that first big problem. If you become this detached witness, aren't you just turning yourself into a robot? Apathetic, numb to everything that makes life worth living? It's a totally fair question, but get ready because the source material is about to flip this whole idea on its head.
This is where we get into a really sharp critique of our modern world. Because what if we have the definition of who the robot is completely backward?
And here it is. Here's the big twist. Knowing the script doesn't make you a robot. No, the real robots are the people who are blindly following society's script without ever even realizing it. They are the sleepwalkers.
And what does that sleepwalker script look like? Well, it's going to the same bars, chasing the same social media trends, all the while believing you're free and unique when you're actually just a slave to your senses and your ego. It's that default societal program: earn, consume, show off, and then die. These are the people on autopilot, just reacting to whatever society tells them to want, never stopping for a second to ask themselves, why am I even doing this? This ancient quote from the Mahabharata just nails the sleepwalker's delusion perfectly. We all know, logically, that the script ends in death. It's the one plot point nobody escapes. And yet, we live as if we're going to be here forever. The source argues that by truly, deeply accepting that one part of the script, you stop wasting your precious time on stuff that doesn't matter, and in a weird way, you finally become truly alive.
So let's take this lens and apply it to something we see all day, every day. This idea of performative freedom that is all over social media. You've seen this a million times, right? The Instagram post from some beautiful beach with a caption like, "Live your truth, break the rules, be free." They're selling us this image of total rebellion, of ultimate freedom. But the source material says, hey, maybe we should look a little closer at who's sending the message. And this is where you see the paradox in action. The performance is all about freedom, but the reality behind the screen is obsessively counting likes. They preach about following your own will, but they're completely beholden to chasing views and pleasing the algorithm. They've essentially traded one boss at a 9-to-5 for millions of tiny digital bosses, their followers. And this all leads to a much deeper, much more profound definition of what freedom really is. True freedom isn't the freedom to do whatever you want. It's the freedom from needing anyone else's approval for what you do. It's an internal state. It's an autonomy that can't be given to you by likes or followers, and it sure can't be taken away from them either. So we'll leave you with this final big question to chew on. Take an honest look at your own life. Are you consciously watching your movie, aware of the script, playing your part with passion but also with wisdom? Or have you gotten completely, utterly lost in the role?